Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, whomever you love, you are welcome here with us. I'm so happy to see your faces once again. Thank you for coming back. And thank you to anyone who is watching us live right now on our YouTube channel. We're crossing our fingers this is going to work, and I'm sure we'll hear about it, but please, if you're watching this at home, be patient, because who knows what might happen with technology. And now, get yourself grounded. Feel your feet connected to the floor, your body connected to the earth. Breathe in deep and out again, connected to the air that we share. And let us begin this morning's worship. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, hear together, love together. Come, let us worship together. Please rise and sing number 370. Please remain standing for our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Please be seated. Candles have been lit this morning in thanks to our musicians and our AV techs. For those affected by the tornadoes across the country this week, and for my own cousin John. For all our joys, all our sorrows, whether we share them aloud with one another or we hold them in the silence of our hearts, let us be together in a moment of silence. Please join with me now in a spirit of prayer and reflection. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we come together this morning grateful for this time out of time, which we set apart so that we might become more fully present to ourselves, to each other, and to that which we call holy. May our hearts be opened together, our wounds be healed together, our joys be celebrated together. We find ourselves this morning in the midst of another Advent season. Our watch is halfway over, and our candles, the color of somber reflection, are now joined by one candle of rose, the color of joy. We celebrate the rebirth and renewal of joy and peace and love into our world, a rebirth that happens again and again. May the work of our week be the culmination of all of our hopes and prayers for the season. May old grudges be cast aside. May the fire of dreams and visions past be reignited. And may peace become the watchword of all our endeavors. Let us prepare in the wilderness of our hearts a place for the return of wonder and joy, of peace on earth and goodwill to all. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to take this off though. All right. So this is our children's message and our time for all ages this morning. So how many of you can raise your hand, how many of you know what joy is? What do you think? Do you guys know? Does anyone want to tell me what joy is? Anyone? Kids, adults? What do you think joy is? What do you think? Happiness. Ooh, yeah, that's good. Yes. So that is, yeah, happiness, joy, right, are similar. So today I have a story about joy. One day, I went on a hike in the mountains. How many of you like to go on hikes in the mountains? Yeah, a lot of us, right? As you can see, this is a picture of the mountains that I was hiking in, and they're called the Smoky Mountains. Can you see in the picture why they might be called the Smoky Mountains? Yeah? Do they look like kind of smoky? Yeah, right? Yeah. So it was foggy, right? So the fog and the rain makes them kind of look smoky, right? So this was an 11-mile round-trip hike, and it was uphill to the top of Mount LeConte. Anyone done that trail here? Yeah, ooh, okay. And yeah, as you can see, it was rainy and foggy in places, and on the trail, it was rainy and foggy. And I do love hiking, and it brings me lots of joy and happiness, like Sierra said. However, I was feeling really tired toward the top of hiking this mountain, right? And then at the top, I found bushes of blueberries. Oh my gosh, small little blueberries. I leaped with joy and started picking these little blue surprises from nature that were gifted to us on our hike. The blueberries were a simple gift from nature, a simple joy that helped power my exhausted body to the top of the mountain. So have you ever found a strawberry or a raspberry or blueberry in nature? Have you? Oh, it's so awesome, right? Yeah. So does it make you feel joyful when you find it? Yeah. Yeah, right? Yeah. So I know that finding those blueberries on my hike, it gave me lots of joy. The blueberries made my heart happy. So what simple things make your heart happy and make you experience joy? So here are some other things I have put in my heart happy, joyful ornament that make my heart happy. So I have some lavender in here. I have a flower. I have sunshine. I have my UU chalice. I have rainbows. And there's a music note in there as well. And a button that is working for equality and justice to include everybody. So these things in my heart happy ornament make me happy and joyful. So today you're gonna get, and if adults want to grab one too, but you're gonna get a heart ornament, and you get to put in the heart ornament those things that make you joyful and happy and that bring you simple joy, like finding a blueberry on a really long hike. And after you fill your ornament with things that make you joyful, you can hang your ornament on your Christmas tree or wherever you like. And then you can change the things inside your ornament each day or each week or each month. And when your joy changes. So one day you might have a Lego inside your ornament because that makes you joyful. And then the next day you might want to put a flower you found in your ornament or a rock that you found that made you joyful, right? So keep thinking about your simple joy and what makes your heart happy, and then share that joy with someone you love.
Once upon a time, as a man was walking through the forest, he saw a tiger peering out at him from under the brush. The man turned to run, and he heard the tiger running close behind him. Barely ahead of the tiger and running for his life, our hero came to the edge of a steep cliff. And so he found a vine hanging down the edge and clung onto it to begin to climb down it. And as the man climbed over the edge, just about as the tiger was ready to pounce. Now, hanging there with a hungry tiger pacing back and forth over him, the man looked down to where he was trying to go, and to his dismay saw another tiger stalking back and forth across the ravine. And just as he got wind of the second tiger, he looked up and saw a little mouse dart out of a hole in the side of the cliff and begin to gnaw on the vine. At that very moment, the man noticed a patch of wild strawberries growing from a clump of earth where he had landed. Reaching out, he plucked one perfect plump strawberry and took a bite. And it was perfectly delicious. We are approaching the holiday season, and I know we are approaching the holiday season because every other commercial on television is somebody giving somebody a giant SUV with a comically large bow on the top of it. It doesn't matter. Every company does this commercial, and that sets up some huge expectations for what kind of gifts we should be giving and receiving at this time of year. I mean, you look at the faces of the people getting that brand new Yukon or whatever it is, and they're just ecstatic, joyful. It's the best thing they have ever received. And look how much happiness this will bring to your family, to your household, to the people that you love. Get them a big car with a giant comically large bow on the top of it. And that, my friends, that's a lot of expectation to set us up with. That's really unfair. I cannot afford that. I actually don't think Jess would be too happy if I hand her a new car because she likes the one she has right now. That's a high bar to meet. And somehow, for many of us, that gets translated into what joy means. The big gift, the big gesture, the big trip somewhere, big, big, big. That is what we are in pursuit of in order to fill ourselves with the joy we might be missing in our lives. But chasing after the big stuff is a path that doesn't get us anywhere too quickly. What is joy? Tina asked the question earlier, and we seem to talk about some heart happiness there. And that is, yes, a component of it. But joy is a lot more subtle than that, too. Sometimes it's easily missed. What is joy? Well, I'll know it when I see it, or when I feel it, at least. The joy comes from the moments or the memories of moments that come to us when we feel most connected to our deepest, truest self, and when that deepest, truest self is connected to that present moment. Those moments when you really feel you are you. This does not come in giant flashes. It's always, almost always, the little things. The moments as they come are brief, and if we're not paying attention to them, the memories of them will become more and more vague over time. Joy requires a connection to the present to truly fill us. But in order to feel connected to the present, one must be present. It's just an Ouroboros. It's a snake eating itself. We must be present in order to feel present. Nice tautology there, John. But the presence makes a huge, huge difference. Back in 2017, a couple of research psychologists at Harvard did a little study where they interviewed 2,000 participants who all worked in some sort of an office setting, kind of in the mid-level management kind of area. And they asked them, what do you think about, on average, during a workday? 47% of those 2,000 said we think about anything but the work we're doing. We are not focused on what we are doing right now. And as they delved further and further into how do you feel about what you're thinking about while you're at work, those 47% who were thinking about something else other than what they were doing right now reported that they didn't feel happy. They felt a lot more anxious about their lives because they weren't focused in the here and the now. To connect to the present. we must be present. And that presence is the practice of, what's the word I'm going to say? Mindfulness. I love John Kabat-Zinn's definition of mindfulness. I've given it to you before, and I'll keep giving it to you because I love it so. Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose. I love that part. Paying attention on purpose to the here and now with curiosity and compassion for things as they are. Paying attention on purpose without any judgment at all, just soaking in the moments as they come. And this is, I know, something of a big ask sometimes, because to be fully present to the moment means we are fully present to ourselves, our whole selves, everything that comes with us, our joy and our sorrow, our ups and our downs, our hits and our misses. It's all there, and sometimes you can feel like it's just going to be too much, right? Too much to focus on. Too much sadness amidst the joy, and sometimes it starts to feel like maybe the frustration of chasing after the giant SUV with a bow will be more comfortable than being self-reflected and present. But the big thing almost never arrives. And in the process of chasing that, we miss the ordinary. I'm using ordinary in the sense of time this morning. I don't mean to say that we are looking for plain and simple things necessarily, because we are complex creatures, and even our moments have complexity to them. But I'm talking about ordinary in terms of the way our days unfold on a regular basis, the way that time and life progresses without us really having to do anything about it. It just is. And in that ordinary time, there are the moments of joy. To get to the deep joy, despite our instincts, means to be present to whatever deep grief or sadness or anxiety happens to be residing with us. Because to be present to that is to find the moments of joy that are woven into them. I recently reread all of The Sandman by Neil Gaiman this summer. Read the whole thing, getting ready for the Netflix series coming next year, which I'm absolutely excited about. For those of you who don't know the Sandman story, it's the story of Dream, the personification of Dream, and he has many siblings, all of whom are personifications of big aspects of living. They're not gods, they're not constructs, they are just an embodiment of things as they are: dream and death and desire and delirium, the personification of our collective madness, our inability to cope with the world as it progresses at a speed beyond which we can handle sometimes, and the ways we choose to cope with that, sometimes for ill. Delirium, however, we learn midway through the series, once upon a time was delight instead, personification of our joy, of the things that filled our souls with a deep heart happiness that fed us in ways that we needed. Now, when I was a 20-something reading this for the first time, I thought, okay, that's a little dark, Neil. And I mean, I was a veteran cynic at that point too, and even that was a bit too much for me. But rereading and rereading the story over the years, the more it made sense. And I found more and more very profound in the way they tell the story. In one series of the story, Delirium decides she needs to go in search of her brother who left. Destruction. Who decided he just didn't want to be in that game anymore, and so he walked away. Now, the rest of her siblings are absolutely against her going off on this mission. They don't necessarily want their brother back. But in talking with her siblings, she talks about the change she went through in relationship to the change her brother did. We contain the shadow side of ourselves. There are two sides to our coin, she says. And we are always those things, even if only one side is showing. The one still contains the other. And if you're paying attention to Delirium throughout the series, you find the joy is still happening in there. It might be a little unhinged at times, but Delirium still takes delight in the world and what she can do in it. The flashes of delight still show through, just in the passage of ordinary time, of our day to day. Even in our moments of sadness and worry and weariness, moments of ordinary joy still shine through. We just need to take a pause to see them. Now, some of the woes we feel have a definite source. We can pinpoint why we're feeling the way we feel in the moment. But sometimes that sense of woe is really general and non-specific. Something about the world and how we're living in it is bothering us. Something doesn't feel right. We know somehow we are not getting something that we need to feed our souls. And in this absence, in this joy-shaped hole in our being, is where we know that joy exists, the via negativa. We've tasted it at some point, and we know what we're missing. And sometimes we do whatever we can to fill that joy-shaped hole in our hearts. Sometimes we do things not always healthy, trying to fill that hole. We all cope in different ways with that general feeling of something is wrong in the world and something is wrong with me. My particular coping mechanism is rush, 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 busy, 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 busy. If I don't have to stop and not do something, I don't have to think about it. My other coping mechanism is humor. Someone posted on Facebook to me a few weeks ago, if I can make a joke about it, it will not destroy me. So that's another coping mechanism for me. But busy, 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 do, rush, rush, rush is how I face the world, so I don't have to think about things too deeply. One of the few places where I unconsciously slow down and stop feeding into that is art museums. I will, unlike my usual day-to-day running through a corridor, stop in a gallery and take my time with every piece. I'll read the little literature that they post beside it. I'll soak in. Sometimes I'll get so deep I'm starting to look at how brush strokes go. Unconsciously, I slow down into that. Zoos and aquariums, not so much. I feel a need to rush through them sometimes because, sometimes the animals aren't out. We've missed feeding time. We're just looking at brown grass and whatever they've set up in an environment for the animals. And sometimes they're just not doing anything but sleeping, which is cute for a couple of seconds, but there's really nothing to soak in there. And so I like to move along the path and get to the next enclosure or get to the next barrel of fish that are floating around at some section of the aquarium. And this was somewhat true earlier this summer when we went out to Seattle to visit our son Brandon. We went to the Seattle Aquarium, which had a really great reputation, and we knew it had otters. And Jess loves otters. So we were going to the aquarium. And for most of that trip through the aquarium, I was like, yep, those are fish. Yep, that one's kind of pretty. Next. Until we got to the river otters, who were swimming around in their crazy loops back and forth and running up onto the ground and diving back in again. And you had a great underwater view of how they were swimming. And there was a bench kind of in front of the little underwater viewing spot. And for some reason, and I don't know why, I just decided to put my finger up to the glass. And the next thing I know, there was an otter playing tag with my finger in its loops. Kept doing it. And so I kept moving around and putting more of my hand on the glass, and more. I was getting those high fives from an otter, and time stopped. There was nothing in that moment except me and an otter playing something, in a sense that I was not alone, that I was part of something bigger. And in that moment was joy. A feeding of my soul, the thing that I need to devour over and over again, lest I fall apart. And I thought, if that can happen unconsciously, if that can happen in a moment without me even thinking about it, what if I finally listened to Jon Kabat-Zinn and paid attention on purpose for a while? Tried to have those time out of time moments to see what shines through. Maybe I would get a deeper sense of the security I feel when I'm wrapped in a warm blanket and holding a cup of hot tea on a cold winter's day, like today is definitely going to happen. Maybe I would feel the creative joy that comes from writing just the one word instead of forcing myself to pump out the 1,000. Maybe I would feel a deep sense of love and connection to the family and friends I have with me here and now, instead of fretting over inevitable losses. Because that's the joy-shaped hole in my heart. Maybe I will finally get my hands on that perfect strawberry. I'm going to be honest, when I first heard that Buddhist tale back in seminary, I thought, wow, that's dumb. Which, for a lot of Buddhist tales and a lot of koans like that, if you're really not thinking about it and doing some self-reflection with them, they all sound a little dumb. Because I don't want to think about what that means. But the more and more that I try to process myself into being receptive to joy as it is here and now, the more and more that story just makes sense. Because we're all running towards a cliff's edge eventually, right? It is inevitable. There's nothing we can do to stop it. We might be able to, grab onto a vine to try to lower ourselves down a bit, but at some point, we're not going to be on that cliff anymore. And maybe we are being chased by tigers. And sometimes they might be real, and sometimes they're just in our heads, but they're there chasing us. We're all going to share a destiny together. So why not keep our eyes out for the strawberries? Maybe so. I'm going to remember how to do this soon, I promise. As we prepare to leave this time out of time and return to our ordinaries, it is time for a few announcements about what is going on here at the church. First up, coming up next Sundays, a little bit after the service at 1 p.m., there will be a gingerbread house making event for all ages. Beth Bowman is leading that. It starts at 1 p.m. You must register for that event. We have 7 spots left, so if you really want to build a gingerbread house, I'd get in there right now. And Tina, can you send out those links again today to remind everybody? Okay, because we've got to register for that. And after that, it's the all-ages church party with Santa. And friends, it's the real Santa. I've seen him, and he can't be anything but. That'll be from 3:30 to 5:30. He'll be reading a story and lighting a tree for us out in the fellowship hall. There'll be all sorts of fun and games. And at the end, there'll be cookies to have outside and not inside. And we're asking those to come if they could please bring some cookies, pre-packaged or pre-bagged, so that we're not having common hands and plates of things. And then the next evening on the 20th is our Solstice Celebration. Yes, yes, yes. We are doing it again. I already have some volunteers to help out, but we could use more. If you want to help put luminaria together, because we're going to make a bunch of them, if you want to help build our spiral out of whatever it is we're going to find to build the spiral with this year, get in touch with me at the office. Send me an email. Or if you just want to help and don't know how, have a conversation with me. I would love to have as many hands as we can participating, preparing, just being there with us outside. And there will be coffee and cocoa and cider afterwards outdoors. And then a few nights later, our candlelight Christmas Eve service. Once again, I am so happy we are doing that in person now. This was my goal this year, was to not have another video Christmas Eve, because man, that was a lot of work. So I'm looking forward to seeing your faces on Christmas Eve again, and singing some of the great carols and lighting our candles to Silent Night and doing the things that bring me joy, at least. And now it's time for our offering moment. December is dedicated to our friends at Self-Help Incorporated and the good work that they do on behalf of all of us in Taos, in Los Alamos and Santa Fe and Rio Arriba counties. You were here last week. You saw Maura Taylor, who grew up in our church and is now the executive director and doing amazing things, tell you about what's going on and what is needed. We won't be passing the basket today. If you have cash or checks to give, please drop them in the offering box on your way out, or you can use your Givelify app on your mobile phone. You don't even have to do it right now. You can take some time to think about what you can really afford and give to us that way. May what you give bring you joy. Friends, may life bless us and keep us. May the light of life shine upon us and out from within us, and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we have been given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.